Welcome to Women's Sports Weekly, where women's sports happen every day, but we talk about it once a week. I'm Carolyn.
And I'm Danielle. Women's Sports Weekly is a podcast where we discuss the latest news, explore interesting stories, and share our love for women's sports. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at WomensSportsWeeklyPod. Follow us and rate us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Send us an email at WomensSportsWeeklyPod@gmail.com and we may feature your email on the Les.
Danielle, you are officially one marathon down of your 2 marathon in 2 weeks stretch. How do you feel?
I got done with the marathon, a few hours ago. My legs are hurting, but I fear that the rest of the week it's going to feel a lot worse because that's what always happens. I think sleep is going to be a little rough.
Why is sleep rough?
My body just is very uncomfortable the day I run a marathon. My lower back I'm feeling and my legs are starting to tighten up already. So I fear that's going to be a very uncomfortable sleep, like just from pain.
So remind the listeners what you're doing.
This May, I had set out to run 2 marathons in 2 weeks. It's really not that crazy because people in Colorado do way crazier things. But it's just something I had my eyes set on and I was like, well, there's 2 marathons in Colorado in 2 weeks from each other in May. So I was like, we don't need to fly anywhere to do them and might as well just give it a shot.
And you say it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal. People in Colorado, yes, are crazy. They're very much into extreme sports. But I would also say that a lot of times that people who do extreme sports here in Colorado often get injured a lot and are way too extreme. And so this you've been doing very mindfully.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about what that looks like? Because I do think you go at it in a way that's like mathematical.
Just like with my training.
Yeah.
I'm not going to just show up to a marathon untrained. That's not my style. And I think for me, the process is so important. That's really what I enjoy about running marathons, the training, the lead up, the work that goes into it. And also I've been trying to lift more and do mobility and things that are going to help me, to your point, not get hurt. I think it pays off from a not getting hurt perspective and helps improve my times as I continue to run. And the other thing is I don't skimp out on fuel either. So I'm very careful and have learned a lot in that space and make sure I'm taking in enough calories around running and during running. And that's a whole other side of the story.
And sometimes it gets difficult to take down the fuel, right?
Yeah. The marathon over this weekend, I ran the Colorado Marathon in Fort Collins. You run down a canyon and then at about mile 19, or where did I see you? Mile 17? You're out of the canyon and it was hot. May in Colorado, the weather is so back and forth, and today was a hot one, and that makes taking in fuel so much harder because the inside of your body is hot from all the running and the up and down, and your stomach is swishing that all around, and
like
then
a little oven.
It got brutal towards the end, and I was just like, just push. I wanted to literally walk the last 6 miles, and I was on pace to either get my previous PR or beat it. And I was like, if you could just keep going, you're going to be able to beat this. And somehow I did. Not by much, 1:17 seconds, but a PR is a PR nonetheless.
Yes.
And I'm very excited about it. It was a downhill race, so that definitely played into it and gave me some power going down with the gravity. And it's at elevation. You start at higher elevation than Denver and then work your way down to Fort Collins. So it was like this in between of elevation and downhill that I didn't know what the result would be. Yeah. And when it flattened out for the last 6-7 miles, you could feel it, like your body. And there were some hills, little hills, but climbs. Oh, yeah. But after you're going downhill for so long, it felt like a mountain.
I was driving up one of the hills that you were going to have to run. And I was like, oh no, I think she didn't think there were any hills on this thing. And this is definitely a hill that I'm on.
Yeah, there were a few. But overall, I thought it was a great event. It was a much smaller race. I didn't see any spectators until mile 17 when I saw you. And coming off of Philly in November, very different vibes. Philly, there's someone every step of the way cheering you on and screaming.
Sometimes 2 or 3 rows deep. Yep.
And this race, not a lot of runners. They capped the marathon at 1,600. And then the spectators, I mean, Fort Collins is a pretty small town. So the vibes were way different. But you run along the Poudre, I learned how to say it, the morning of the race, Poudre River.
I can't with Colorado. They say everything wrong. That is not how it's spelled.
That is the New Jersey in you saying that.
Danielle, Poudre, That is one, weird, and two, it's spelled Poudre. So please someone explain to me how that comes out to pooter.
The whole time leading up to the race, I thought it was poudre,
Which I think is probably right.
but I was afraid to say that because I always say things wrong, as people who listen to our podcast probably have picked up on. So I would just wouldn't say it. And then you and I were having a conversation like, wait, what is it? And then on the bus, because we got driven up the canyon, like a 45-minute bus ride to go to the start line. And the guy on the bus said, we're headed up to the Poudre Canyon.
I don't know why Colorado does this. They say Salida instead of Salida.
And Louisville instead of Louisville.
Louisville. Yeah,
And
there's just a
Colorado.
lot. Colorado.
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 We say Colorado.
But we also have been told multiple times that people hear our New Jersey accents on this podcast.
I get called out for my Jersey accent literally all the time. Every time I meet someone new, and if they have a certain name that the vowels are spelled out a certain way, I say it and they're like, are you from the East Coast? I'm like, what? How do you know that?
Yes, like the name Sarah.
Sarah.
We say Sarah, and other people say Sarah.
And people say I say your name like Carolyn.
Yes. I think we've talked about this before, but I say my name is Carolyn. And in New Jersey, my friends, when they spell out my name shortened, it's C-A-R, like car, but Car. But my friends from South Carolina spell out my name when they shorten it. They put Care, like Care Bear, like in their heads. And it's what they call me. So it's totally fine. They call me Carolyn, but I would never say that. I say Carolyn.
Yeah, so it's different where you're from.
Okay, back to your marathon.
Yeah, I want to ask you, you couldn't see me till mile 17, but you had Scout. We had Scout at the hotel with us this weekend. We stayed over the night before the race. You and Scout saw me at mile 17, 21 and a half. 25 in the finish. You put some work in the last couple miles to see me, and Scout jumped on me when I ran up to you all, and I was like, how's she doing?
Not great.
And you said she was chasing innocent bystanders.
So our dog Scout is a menace, and
Yeah.
she's super reactive.
And she's perfect.
And she's perfect. She does not like when people approach her. She does not like when she is approached from behind. And so there were times when I was waiting for you to come where, and I've done this before, where someone's running and then a friend goes and runs with them and like kind of gives them a pep talk. And there was a guy who was not running in the race, but giving his friend a pep talk and got too close to Scout. And she really lost it, started barking. The good thing is that Scout doesn't bite, knock on wood. The bad thing is that she lunges and her bark is very scary. I'm looking at her because she's over there.
Only 40 pounds. Like she's a tiny little thing, but her bark makes her sound like she's like 75 pounds.
Yes. So she lunged at a man. Everyone looked at me. I was like, just put my head down, had my 99ers hat covering my eyeballs. And I was like, yep, that's our dog. And then there was more of that. So she is just, she's a tough one. She's a tough one to wrangle. But I also don't want to leave her.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it was very nice to see you both at the different little cheering sections.
And in comparison, what I was doing was a lot less effort than the effort you were putting in over 3 hours. And
yeah, but you still gave up your weekend to support me for something I chose to do. So I just appreciate you being there and wrangling Scout, waking up before 4 a.m. so you can drive me to the buses in the morning. So
yeah. Those are things that are like easy to me, though. Those are things I don't really mind. I do love to be at a marathon because I just think the energy is so great. And not only am I cheering you on, as I'm waiting for you, I'm cheering on every other person because it's just fun to do. And I feel like some people really like it. And I know that in the one marathon I ran, and that will probably be the only marathon I run, that people who were cheering me on and didn't know me, I was so thankful for. So
yeah, it makes a big difference for sure.
But I'm really happy for you and happy you were able to PR.
Yes.
And you look great ever since. I didn't see you in New York, but I think ever since New York City, and maybe New York City included, and now you've done Philly and now this one, the way that you're moving is just like so different. And it's because of all the work that you've put in.
I think after I ruptured my Achilles, I like looked up all this stuff and they're like, you'll never be as fast as you were. And I feel like I could have just been like, well, that's it. I'm not going to be fast. So why try? But I was like, no, F that. Like, I'm going for it. And I've learned a lot along the way, and it's just been fun. And like I said, I like the process and the training. I won't be trying to PR Colfax in 2 weeks though. My goal for that one is to cross the finish line.
Denver can just really get hot.
I'm worried.
But the good news is that marathon also starts early. So
yeah, I think that one starts at 6:32, which I started this past weekend. So overall, really happy with the outcome, and number 1 of 2 in May 2025 complete.
And you got a cool t-shirt.
Yes, I'm very happy with this t-shirt. It's like the original artwork.
You can tell.
Yeah.
High five. Good job.
Thanks. Love you.
Let's stay on the train of running and talk about Run Club.
This past Run Club, last week, we gave out cake for your birthday, and
the whole bar got
a hit. Yeah.
The whole bar got cake.
So you never know what we're going to bring to Run Club. And our friend Katie came to Run Club and also brought cupcakes. So there was plenty of cake and cupcakes to go around. It was fabulous.
It was.
It's like everything you love. It was just really great.
Well, yeah, everything I love minus the running.
True. But with that, we will meet again this upcoming Thursday and every Thursday at 6 p.m. at the 99ers Sports Bar here in Denver. So each week we share a word, and in light of the marathon I ran over the weekend, the word will be Fort Collins this week. So when you go to the bar, share that word with the bartender, and you will get 50% off your first draft. So again, the word is Fort Collins.
We'll see you there. We have some more updates to share. So Women's Sports Weekly t-shirts. We have not forgotten about you. Right when we receive the t-shirts, we will be sending them your way. We are still waiting on them from our supplier. So once we get those t-shirts, we already have the bags lined up. We already have the addresses written out. Right when we receive them, we will begin sending them your way and have more of an update. We just didn't want you to think that we've left you hanging. We're just waiting to receive them, and then we'll be sending them out as soon as we get them.
I'm excited.
We also have another update this week. It is a scheduling update. Women's Sports Weekly will continue to release weekly. However, we are changing the day that we drop, the day that we release our episodes, to Thursdays. We are hoping this move will give us time to watch and cover the games that happen over the weekend. And so for that reason, we're switching to Thursdays. So our next episode will be out on Thursday, May 15th, and then we will release weekly from there on out.
Yes. With that, let's move on to the highlight reel for this week.
The WNBA preseason is here. All the WNBA preseason games are either on national TV or on League Pass. And WNBA League Pass is actually offering a free preview period for the duration of the preseason. And you can download the WNBA app to access it. So you don't need to have purchased League Pass in order to be able to watch some preseason games. But as a reminder, WNBA League Pass does allow you to view all games from the WNBA and is only $35 for the season. And there is a student discount code if you are a student and you would like to access them there. But there are so many games happening on national television this season coming up.
Yes, and can you believe this is the first preseason for the WNBA that they're actually streaming on television?
It's really wild to me. I believe this all happened because a fan last year was at a preseason game and live streaming it. And Dawn Staley was watching it and was like, why am I watching a preseason on someone's live Twitter?
And weren't there thousands and thousands of people, like tens of thousands of people watching on the Twitter live stream?
I'm not sure of the exact number, but yeah, there were a ton of people watching.
Unreal. I've been really pumped about this. We have watched a ton of games over the weekend. It's been so fun to watch the rookies get in there. They've also played on college campuses, which has been really fun. So the Dallas Wings played against the Las Vegas Aces at Notre Dame, which both teams had former Notre Dame players. And then you have Brazil versus Chicago Sky at LSU, where Angel Reese and Haley Van Lith formerly played, and Caitlin Clark and the Fever at Iowa against Brazil as well. So it's been bringing a ton of fans that watch these players when they were in college, and it gives cities a chance to see the WNBA games if they don't have a team in their city, which has also been fun.
Yeah, I think those are all great points. I also really like that we're able to see the preseason because we're able to see why certain decisions are made, why certain players may get waived, or why certain players may make the roster. And when we were watching Dallas the other day, we saw Isaiah James kind of just like going off, and we were like, yes, so cool. This is the way you get your roster spot. I love that we're part now of that behind the scenes, because roster spots in the WNBA are so incredibly hard to get.
Yes, for sure. I think they said like 6 or 7, don't quote me on this, I could be wrong on the number, teams worth of players will get waived or cut from teams just because there's not enough spots. I don't know the exact number, but I remember reading that stat and I was like, oh my God, like that is a lot of players. And of course, there's been injuries as well. Oh, this time of year is rough, like seeing waves and people tearing their ACLs before the season even starts. So thinking of Katie Lou Samuelson, Georgia Amore, I think there were a few others, and it's just sad. But outside of the injuries, it's been really fun to watch.
We're also getting to see how teams are stacking up. I will say that how teams look now is probably not how they're going to look in the regular season, but it is cool to see these new players who are playing together with all of the changes that have happened the past few months through the WNBA free agency.
It's definitely interesting to see players gel. There's just some teams who have players who are ready to fight already, and there was a tussle over the weekend between the Fever and the Mystics. Kiki Iriafin and Sophie Cunningham got into it, but I will say Sophie Cunningham really is the one who wanted to fight, and Kiki kind of just smiled and shook it off. But
well, Kiki did body slam her down onto the ground, for being like completely honest about what happened.
I think it looked worse than it was on slow motion.
And you know I am not one to come in and defend Sophie Cunningham ever.
No, you're not.
But that was definitely a flagrant foul. And then she had some words to say, and Kiki just smiled at her like, nope, I don't play that.
Yeah. But I will say, having Sophie Cunningham, Caitlin Clark, and DeWanna Bonner on one team, the theatrics are going to be out of hand this season.
Give the refs a raise, because there's going to be so much chirping to them. Woo! It'll be fun for the Fever fans and annoying for everyone else who watches.
Yeah, I would not want to be a ref in that situation against the Fever. So definitely gonna be fun to watch.
Definitely. And have you seen Asia Wilson's new Nike commercial for her A1s?
Yes, so fun. Really enjoyed watching it.
If you haven't seen it, please give it a Google. It is a bunch of women at all different ages, like doing, I call it patty cake, but I don't know what it's called. Clapping and putting your hands out. What is that called?
You're asking the wrong person.
So the ad essentially starts at a playground and then goes through like step dancers and then goes into gyms and arenas. And I just think it's this really cool way that the commercial kind of honors Asia at every step and honors the people who will probably wear her shoes at every step, and is all about Asia Wilson being the best. I just loved it. I loved it so much. The director who made the commercial is Malia Obama, which is just wild to me that that's what she's up to, because I just remember her when she was in the White House with Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, and she was so young, but now she's directing commercials, and the commercial is really, really cool.
Oh, I didn't realize that. That is amazing. Good for her.
And the shoes are awesome. I want them. I do not play basketball. I think I just need to get them for you.
Yeah, because I came out of retirement and I think I need them.
And the colorways are awesome. You see some of the players wearing it now, both men and women. I haven't seen one I don't like yet. Let's get into some more highlights for this week. We also have to talk about the PWHL playoffs. They are set and we are ready to go. The Montreal Victoire secured the number 1 spot in the playoffs. Toronto is in the number 2 spot. The Ottawa Charge are in the number 3 spot. And the Minnesota Frost are in the number 4 spot. As a reminder, Montreal got to pick their opponent to play in the semifinals. And they got to pick either between the number 3 Ottawa Charge or the number 4 Minnesota Frost.
I totally forgot this was a thing. And
I love it.
It blows my mind, though. It's such a mind game.
It is an incredible mind game, and I think it sends so many messages.
Yeah.
So Montreal did something very interesting. Instead of picking the number 4, the Minnesota Frost, who are the defending champions, they picked the number 3 Ottawa Charge and said, we'd rather take you than the lower seeded team.
We highlighted Montreal Victoire versus Ottawa Charge last week during our episode, and Ottawa Charge beat Montreal Victoire after the international break. So this is a very interesting choice no matter how you look at it.
And like a huge slap in the face to Ottawa.
Yeah.
So it is difficult because if you're like, okay, I feel like we have a better chance against the number 3, know that you are sending them such a slap in the face message that when you do that they're going to be so pissed going into these games.
I think it's a mind game for Montreal, who has to pick.
Yeah.
And now they need to beat this team that they picked. And it's a mind game for the team that they picked. And it's a mind game for the team they didn't pick. I just think it's so many mind games.
Exactly. And Minnesota must be like, yeah, you should be afraid of us. We are the number 4 seed, but we're the defending champions.
Yeah.
And we fought and clawed our way to get into these playoffs. And I'm glad you're afraid of us. Whew, I just love the drama. The PWHL playoffs consist of 2 best-of-5 semifinals, with the winners advancing to the PWHL finals in a best-of-5 series for the Walter Cup, which is what you win at the end. Okay, we are doing some quick highlights today. Let's get into the NWSL, which is truly just the Chaos League. And I just want to point out a couple of things that happened this past week. On Friday, Angel City beat the Washington Spirit 4-3. Also on Friday, the Seattle Reign beat the KC Current 1-0. So now the KC Current are on a 2-game losing streak.
Wow.
And the Washington Spirit is again getting beat. And this is just not what I expected to happen.
Yeah.
Then on Saturday, the Portland Thorns beat the Orlando Pride 1-0. And that put the Thorns up a couple places in the standings. It's just craziness happening over there. We're not going to dive too much into it, but I'm just like, the NWSL is popping off and everyone's beating everyone else, and it's really fun.
It's just a great reminder that no one's safe and you should watch these games because they've really been putting on a show. So definitely something to get into right now while it's hot.
For our deep dive this week, we need to first make some confessions. We have been having a ton of trouble with our recordings and our internet, and this is our 3rd time doing this recording. So we are hoping this goes through this time, but we wanted to play a game with you all and make this a little bit more fun because we are tearing our hair out over here.
And it's just a good way for people to get to know us a little more. We could deep dive into our own deep secrets.
Ooh, are you saying you're going to provide a deep secret?
No, I take that back.
Okay, I'm calling this segment the Hot Corner, which in softball, the Hot Corner is...
Third base?
Yes, you got it. But this game is more like the hot seat. So we're going to ask each other some more personal questions, kind of like we're interviewing each other. And really just an opportunity for the listeners to get to know us a little bit better, because we've heard that that's what some of y'all want. So I'll ask you some questions. You'll interview me, and we'll see what comes out of this. Are you nervous about this?
Nervous? No.
Oh, okay.
Are you?
No, I'm not. But I'm a lot more forthcoming about myself than you are.
No, I'm not nervous.
Okay. You feeling good?
Yeah.
We'll see how you feel after. All right. So my first question for you, Danielle, if you could go back and talk to your younger self, what's one thing you'd say? And how old are you?
Ooh, how old am I? Probably middle school, because I feel like that's a time I can remember the most of caring more about what other people think. Middle school going into high school, I feel like that awkward stage, you know, your body's starting to change. I don't know. There's just a lot going on. You're starting to realize things.
You were wearing all your Bermuda shorts.
That was in high school.
Oh, no.
But I think I would just say to be your authentic self. Like, I just feel like I was always hiding a part of myself. And obviously me being gay, that I didn't come out till later in life. But I'm not even talking about that. I think just not being free. Like, I wish I was just more free as a kid. I think in sports I was, but like overall in general as a person, I just was pretty reserved, and I still am. But I think that was taught or something I started doing at a very young age. So now as an adult, it's really hard to turn that switch off. So I wish at a younger age, I could have just said to myself, it's okay to be yourself. You don't need to hide parts of yourself, and you're going to be so much better off for it.
What do you think would have come forward if you did actually do that when you were younger?
I think I'd be more confident. I think my confidence has grown over the years, but it still could use some work. I think as a kid, just not second guessing, not saying sorry for every little thing. Like people used to tell me, you say sorry too much. What are you sorry for? I don't know. Why was I saying sorry?
Yeah. You said sorry to me today. You said, I know I'm talking about my PR a lot. I'm sorry. And I was like, you just got done with the race. Like, I'll give you 24 hours and I'll actually give you a week. If you want the month, you've got it. You're allowed to brag about yourself, especially to me.
Yeah. So things like that. I just wish I could go back and say, just be a kid and just don't worry so much about everything.
Love that. Cool.
All right, your turn.
Okay.
Hot seat. This is going to be a different question, though.
Yes.
What cliche do you think is bullshit? Whoa. And what cliche do you think holds truth?
You didn't write these questions?
No.
We found these questions online. Okay, what cliche do I think is bullshit? I think everything happens for a reason is complete bullshit. I just can't get down with that. When people start saying those things, I'm like, no. I think the universe is pretty cruel, and I do think everything is a learning opportunity, and there's a lot you can learn through everything, but I really don't agree that everything happens for a reason. There are so many horrible things happening in this world. To turn and say to someone everything happens for a reason, I just think is completely untrue.
Yeah.
So that one really pisses me off. But I do think some cliches are really on, and the one that I will say that I think is spot on is time heals. And when things feel really, really bad, it does get better with time, whatever it could be. And I think time creates perspective and all that other good stuff. Another one that I really like from my data analytical point is garbage in, garbage out. Literally, if you put shitty data into something, you're going to get shitty data out of it. And also figuratively, what you put into something is what you're going to get out of it. And I do agree with that cliche as well.
Nice.
All right, let's do a question for the both of us.
Okay.
I'll ask you first. If you could use a time machine, would you rather have one that only goes back in time or only goes forward?
Definitely not forward, because I have enough anxiety as it is. And if I knew what was going to happen, my anxiety would definitely be so much worse, believe it or not. I don't like to live in the past, but I think seeing people who are no longer with us is something that I would appreciate. And for times that I really loved, like I wouldn't want to go back to shitty times, but if there's something I could redo and do it the same way, if there was just something I really enjoyed and just wanted to do it again, not change anything. Like I don't want to go back and change anything, because I just feel, I know there's like weird juju with that, and seeing people who are no longer with us is what I would want to do. How about you?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I would want to go back in time, get to re-experience some things. I also have such bad memory, so I would love to go back in time and be like, what actually happened there? Because how I remember it is probably not how it happened. And I wouldn't want to go forward in time specifically because what if I went and someone I loved wasn't there and I didn't know why? That would freak me out. Nope, no thank you. Back in time only. I would probably crank that baby all the way back and go to prehistoric times and see what was going on. But yeah, it's a little too scary for me to think about going forward.
For sure.
And I kind of like the surprise of what could happen next. But there are some things that I would like to fact check and re-experience in the past.
Yeah.
All right, let's do another one. This one's for you, Dee. Is there something about you that people assume because of your appearance or demeanor?
I don't know about appearance, but demeanor, I'm always scared people think I'm mean because I'm very quiet when I first meet someone, but it's really because I'm shy and reserved and have anxiety. So I try to be better about that, and I guess I don't know if people assume that about me, but that's what I worry they think about me, that I'm a little standoffish and mean, but it's really I'm just shy and working out things in my own head.
You do have a really bad track record with people who work at the deli.
Well, that's so weird because in those situations, I'm trying to be really nice and I'm outwardly being nice. And maybe it's my annoying, like, sorry, I don't want to be a burden type deal. And then they just get mad and are mean to me.
Whenever Danielle orders at the deli, the people get so frustrated with her.
I don't even know what I'm doing wrong. And sometimes wait staff too. And I'm literally the nicest. Okay, I'm sure I'm not the nicest, but like I'm never rude to wait staff. You can literally vouch for me.
Yes.
So I don't know. That's just a weird thing.
But you are quieter just in general. But have said before that when people meet us, I'm the one who's bubbly and hello. And then they're like, oh, cool. This might be a nice couple to hang out with. And then they get to know us more. And then they're like, oh, Danielle's actually like the coolest one in this couple.
That's not true.
No,
Carolyn.
Not that it's a competition, but I'm like, I bring them in and Danielle is like, yeah, this is why you're here, because I am actually awesome.
That's not true, but thank you. All right, question for you. What is your biggest non-academic or non-work related accomplishment?
Ooh, but I love my work accomplishments.
I know you do.
But we don't talk about work on here, so that's good. I have something that I'm the most proud of. It's just something that I think about and I'm like, whoa, that was one of the coolest things I ever was able to do. And so I actually joined the bone marrow donation registry and got a call a few years ago that I matched with someone and was actually able to donate my bone marrow. I had to take this medication to make my bone marrow grow, and it was so painful. I remember my collarbone hurt so bad. I did it through plasma, and so they hooked me up to a machine, took my blood out, ran it, did whatever they do, and then put the blood back in. And I'm actually really bad at getting my blood drawn. I usually pass out. So it was like a 7-hour day where they were just taking blood out and pumping it back in. I had to get a nice little Ativan for it because I was kind of freaking out. All of this to say, I actually was able to do it and donated to a woman in Italy and received a message from her. And a lot of it was redacted because we couldn't share too much personal information about ourselves, but she was alive. And I was like, that is the coolest thing. And it was totally by chance. I just happened to be a match for her. But to be able to do that, I was like, yeah, this is what being a human is on this earth. That's what it felt like to me.
That was really incredible.
Yeah, it was cool. Okay, question for the both of us. Imagine that you could choose when and how you die. At what age would you like to die? And how would you like to go?
You know I hate this because I hate thinking about my own death and your death. If I could pick an age, it'd be...
What?
I'd never die.
Never.
But only if you never died. I don't want to be around if you're not around.
So you would like to be here forever?
With you.
Forever.
As long as I can do everything I could do now, yeah. But if I'm just sitting like a vegetable, no.
What if the world burns on fire? Because we're headed that way.
I don't know. If I had to pick an age realistically, I'm going 115.
You said that so straight face. 115. Okay,
you have to live to 117 though, because right now you're 2 years older than me, so you have to live older. And the way I would want to die is holding your hand in our sleep. You think this is funny, and I know it's going to sound really cheesy, but The Notebook did this to me, 1. And 2, I already told you I want to live an old, healthy life, and I want us both to be still running around, and hopefully we have great grandkids by then.
Oh my
and
gosh.
We're
we
running
don't even
around
have
with
one
them.
kid.
Scout, get to work. And yeah, I don't want to be where people are taking care of me. We're still living in this house. We're still walking up and down the stairs, doing pull-ups, the whole thing.
Okay, so for some context here, when we first started dating, we've had this conversation before. And I was like, what age? And you, I think at that point, were like maybe late 80s.
No way.
And then you were like
No
90s.
way.
Danielle,
No,
yes.
I think I was always 100. I always wanted to make it to 100.
No. And then we got to 100 and you were like, we have to make it to 100. You have to make it to 102. And then it was, I had to make it to 109 or 110 because you wanted to make it to 108. And now we're up to 115 and I'm at 117. I do think there is something beautiful about the end of life.
I'm not there.
I know.
It freaks me out.
I'm saying death in general, if you're able to make it to an old age and die, I do think there's some beauty in that. And the funeral and all of those things that happen is like such a nice thing to do for a human. But you don't want to go there.
I struggle. When other people die, it's really, I'm not just saying me, it's just a big struggle. And the thought of people, I just can't go there.
We can't go there. Okay. I won't say 115, but I'll go 103 and you can be 101.
All right, this is work. We made progress.
Okay, great.
This is progress.
And yeah, we can die holding hands in our sleep.
Is that how you'd pick it?
I would obviously love to go in my sleep and would love to have you next to me. But if you're still running marathons, I'd be like, Danielle, just go. I'm tired. I've been tired. I've made it this long and I made it to 103 and please just let me go to sleep and go run your marathon tomorrow.
Oh my God.
And I'll see you in a bit, okay? I'll see you on the other side.
All right, enough of this.
Okay. So how are you feeling now after we played Hot
I
Corner?
don't like that last question.
Okay. I'm sorry. But we had to do something a little bit fun.
That's fun.
I love having hypothetical questions. There are times when I'll look at Danielle and I'll be like, do you want to have a fight about something? And not a fight, but I want to debate someone. I want to go back and forth. And Danielle's like, no, why would we do that to ourselves? Like, why would we put ourselves through the stress? And I'm like, I don't know, I just thought it would be fun.
Yep.
So that's my version of this. Let's get into what we're looking forward to this week. Danielle, what do you have?
So you had mentioned that the PWHL playoffs are set and they begin this Wednesday, May 7th. Game 1 is the Minnesota Frosts versus the Toronto Scepters at the Coca-Cola Coliseum.
You want to try that again?
How do you say it?
Coliseum.
What did I say?
Coliseum.
Oh my gosh. I need to start that over. Game 1 is the Minnesota Frost versus the Toronto Scepters at the Coca-Cola Coliseum.
Coliseum. It's Seum. Coliseum.
The Coca-Cola Coliseum.
Yeah.
Weird. At 7 p.m. Eastern.
Coliseum?
What are you looking forward to?
You don't even want to go there. Okay. I'm looking forward to the SEC softball tournament, which begins on Tuesday, May 6th. What?
I still don't get Coliseum, but keep going.
Coliseum.
Go ahead.
Coliseum.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, we can fight about this.
No.
Okay. The SEC softball tournament begins on Tuesday, May 6th in Athens, Georgia. The top 4 teams received a 2-round bye, which is crazy. And then seeds 5 through 9 received a first round bye. So who's in the top 4? Who's getting past the first 2 rounds? Number 1 is Oklahoma. Number 2 is Texas A&M. Number 3 is Texas. And number 4 is Tennessee.
It's a lot of T's.
Tons of T's. And also, entering into this past weekend, the SEC had 8 teams in the RPI top 10 nationally.
That's insane.
Yes. I have my eyes on number 7, South Carolina, who are having an incredible season this year under new head coach Ashley Chastain. You gotta watch the SEC tournament. It's just going to be so fun because they're going to all beat up on each other as we head into the end of the softball season. That's it for this week. We will see you next week on Women's Sports Weekly. In the meantime, watch women's sports and share the podcast with your friends. Rate and subscribe to the pod on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. Thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye.
We'll be doing this podcast till we're 115 years old.